conversation has been about when a COVID-19 vaccine will come, where will it be available, which country will make it first. But very often we forget the most important part of it. How will everyone who needs it get it? One of the biggest challenges that experts see is the distribution of the COVID-19 vaccine when it arrives, especially in a large country like India with such a huge population. We will need to be able to deliver the vaccine efficiently to some of the most remote parts of this country. Well, today the Apollo Group has come out and said that they are preparing themselves to be able to administer at least 1 million vaccines whenever it's ready. So what does that claim actually mean, and how will they prepare themselves? To speak more about this, I'm joined now by Ms. Shobana Kamineni, the Executive Vice-Chairperson of the Apollo Group of Hospitals. Shobana, great to speak to you on the show and glad to have you here. Tell us about what this plan is.
Thanks, Tamanna. And first, I think it behooves a healthcare system that, to do whatever possible during this battle of our lifetime. This is really the healthcare are the soldiers. And whether, we've been in it from day one, delivering medicines, going online, teleconsults, digital health. We're on our 23rd treatment protocol for the COVID. But now we're seeing the battlefield is shifting when we're seeing a line of sight that there will be a vaccine. At that point, we stepped back and said, there will be a vaccine. So what can we do as an integrated network to be able to make sure that Indians get this fast and safe? Well, actually safe and fast. So having said that, we ramped up our capability, and you said 1 million. And I'd like to emphasize that our capability that we will provide when the vaccine comes out, that this with the government, based on how the government wants us to do this, it has to be a joint effort. This is not an Apollo effort, but our own capability within the group is to be able to deliver and administer 1 million vaccines a day.
Okay. That's huge. 1 million vaccines a day is huge. What will this actually entail? When you say that you're preparing to be able to deliver and administer 1 million vaccines a day, I would suppose that the biggest challenge is in the distribution. You have to make sure that the vaccines are transported at a certain temperature, stored carefully, and then can be safely administered. Can you expand and elaborate on this?
For sure. So, assuming that, the government works with us, appoints us and has the technology, and we create the interoperability. So that's one part of it. But from our side, what we said is, we already have a partner, the largest pharma distribution company, which is an associate of Apollo, KeyMed, and it has 19 hubs. It is the largest vaccine and insulin distributor. It has a cold chain of already the capability to do 100 million cold chain doses a year. What we asked of them is ramp it to 300 million, and from 100 million to 300 million is something that is already in the process. There are 19 hubs, and in those 19 hubs, this vaccine can be delivered between a 30-minute window to a 48-hour window anywhere across the country. Having said that, the points that it will deliver to, because we realized from the Apollo side, we have within 30% of India can access an Apollo touch point, a physical touch point, within 30 minutes. How is this? 70 hospitals, 500 corporate clinics, another 400 other specialty clinics, and 4,000 pharmacies across the country. So this is the delivery network. In terms of people that we've ramped up, we've already trained, and now we're training the last 3,500. So we will have 10,000 people available to give this vaccine, and that gives us the capability of 1 million vaccines a day.
Yeah. You know, Ms. Kamineni, a lot of the vaccines, I would say most of the vaccines under trial in India at least, are 2-dose vaccines or 3-dose vaccines, where it isn't like, you know, where there's one administration of the vaccine and you're done. There's a follow-up and you have to ensure that there's a second dosage. How much of a challenge do you think that will pose if the final vaccine or the final sets of vaccines are 2 or 3 doses?
You're so right that that the challenge isn't about delivering 1.3 billion doses, but it is for 1.3 billion people. So from that, you estimate that remove a certain number that won't take the vaccine, that don't believe in it, that and then after that, the people that already have antibodies for the short term that have had COVID. And so I would think that you would need about 700 million people who would need the vaccine, 2 doses for 1.4 billion. So I do think that the fact that Apollo can offer 300 million a year is a significant capacity. And this is just one, of course, the largest, but one private network. So if the government chooses to actually engage along with their awesome, I mean, the government has a huge network of government hospitals and PHCs. But once you put all this together, I'm very hopeful that, that we will have the capacity. The thing is that we have to ensure the capacity keeps that vaccine in the best condition. You have to keep it within that 2 to 8 degrees. Otherwise, it's of no use and actually may create harm. So I think it's this complete package which is required. And to me, that's a big challenge.
Ms. Kamineni, I must ask you that this announcement that you've made today, is it based on some kind of conversations that have already begun from government, central and state, and companies like yourselves? Or is it sort of a pitch? How would it work, and how would this service be priced into the cost of the vaccine? I mean, we're still in a situation where we're trying to figure whether vaccines will be available at an affordable rate. How many will the government really give people who are needy, and at what price? So where does you know, your service sort of fit into the whole revenue system?
So right now, Tamanna, this is national service. So we're not looking to say we're going to be guided by what the government is going to announce. And I do believe that because of the association of WHO, COVAX, that have actually funded a lot of the manufacturers, the cost of the vaccine is going to be highly affordable. And I think that the cost of a syringe and then the actual service provision is not going to be that large that will break anybody's bank. And whoever the government may choose to give it to. So I think that the first 6 months will be about eligibility. It's not about affordability. So I think that that's what we have to take out of the conversation, because the government, you know, there are many people who can afford to pay, you know, what will it cost? Maybe around 300, 400 rupees for the full, to get the vaccine and get it administered. But how the government decides to do it, that's a work in progress. And yes, we have had conversations, and this is something that is going to be completely led by the government, especially in the early years. The caveat being that COVID vaccine is here to stay, just like the flu shot. So us creating this capacity and doing what we're doing, it also is a very long-term objective of keeping India safe.
It's also a business venture, isn't it, Ms. Kamineni? What is the kind of revenue generation that you see out of this?
Right now, I don't know, Tamanna. It would have been a business. It would have been a business discussion if we knew that we could go directly to the manufacturers and procure supply. At that point of time, just like we administer other vaccines, this would again go into that pipeline. Right now, we don't know, but I don't think that a group such as Apollo would wait or should wait for it to be, an opportunistic kind of thing. This is a national imperative, and ultimately, yes, when it gets into the pipeline, we would have created that capacity. But right now, those are not the conversations that we did this for.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Shobana Kamineni, for joining us and adding that perspective.